161st Street, Yankee Stadium.
Swung on and hit in the air to deep center. Gets back, away back. She is gone.
All right, welcome back to the Boys of 161st Street, episode 205. Today is June 6, 2022, and the Yankees have now won 6 games in a row. They've swept their last 2 series. This one most recently against the Tigers, last one against the Angels. The boys are buzzing. It's kind of just rinse and repeat at this point. If you want to turn this episode off, we might just talk about the same things over and over again. No, we got a lot of things to talk about here. This episode is presented by Underdog Fantasy. Go to the link in our bio, link in the podcast description, download the app, and get a free $100 sign-up bonus. More on that later. But how are we all doing? Yankees are doing good. The boys aren't doing so hot. I was in Montauk this weekend. I had a fantastic time with Damon. Chandler was supposed to join us, but he has COVID. Our other friend has mono. Murph is sunburnt. How are we doing, fellas?
That's just
good now.
Wildest combination of illnesses I can think of.
It's all good. I put in my own window AC unit with Damon's assistance via FaceTime.
Hey,
so feel
No
pretty
big
good about
deal. No
myself.
big deal. Claps for Chandler.
Golf clap for Chandler.
Any
Big
carpenters?
blue plier guy.
So if there's any carpenters listening, I hate my fucking job, and I could be happy to put in an application.
Once you figured out how to put that drill bit on, it was all over.
Dude, it was game over. I put that
Smooth
shit in.
sailing from there.
Only took me like 2.5 hours from there, but
You
Not
crushed
much.
it. You crushed
I
it.
know I did. It felt good.
To speak to the sunburn a little bit,
Murph's
Well, we
gonna be
mentioned it a
sitting
little
there
bit on the
for
last
3 years.
episode, but
I'm now peeling my 3rd layer of skin.
I don't think that's skin at that point.
I mean, that's
Yeah, no,
literally
I
every
saw
time
my
I get a
shoulder
sunburn.
bone today. No, I'm just kidding. But just, yeah, not fun.
Can't imagine it is. So the Yankees are good. Like I said, sweeping the 2nd series in a row, 6 in a row. We didn't really even like this. If there was a series to just not watch, it was probably this one because like
Yeah,
Yankees
the
are
2
just-
perfect game bids into the.
Yeah,
but that's not. I
What are
meant,
you talking
okay,
about?
okay. I meant like going into it. Had I told you like, yeah, you could probably just turn this one off. Tigers are not really much fun to watch. Yankees are just gonna handle them pretty easily, which they did. Aside from the last game, they won by 1 run, but they battle back. They win the games as you expect. But yes, like you said, 2 perfect game, no hit bids late in the
And
games.
then a walk off.
A walk off. It was a fun
Such a
series.
boring
that's
series.
Not, but that's just not what I meant. You can just fuck off. But yes, going back and talking about the dominance of the pitching staff. I mean, if you go back to the last 5 starts, I know everybody's been talking about it, but I have to address it and say the actual lines out there. I mean, if you go back to the previous start of Jordan Montgomery, 7 innings, 1 run. Nestor Cortez, 7 innings, no runs. Jameson Tyone, 8 innings pitched, 1 run, 2 hits. That a no-hitter into the 7th or 8th? Into the 8th, right? He lost in the 8th and he got
Perfect
pulled
game.
after that. Perfect game into the 8th, excuse me. Garrett Cole, 7 innings pitched, 0 runs, 2 hits. He had a no-hitter also?
Perfect game.
Perfect game. And
First
then
time in the modern ball, or since the expansion, that 2 pitchers have thrown back-to-back perfect games into the 7th inning on the same team.
That is just so wild. And then Luis Severino, out of all 5 of those starts, might have had the most dominant one of them all. He just didn't have no hitter or a perfect game flirting with like the rest of them. But like when you look at the overall
did,
stat
though.
line,
He did.
do you also?
No. I'm
His
saying
only
it
hit
should have been an
was
error.
an error.
Oh, yeah. But
It was a line
wasn't-
drive hit right at. Yeah, that shouldn't have been ruled a hit.
Him
Yes.
and the fucking team.
It was a hit. I'm not gonna.
It was
No, it
a
wasn't.
hit.
I'm not
David,
gonna sit here and
if-
defend that. That was a,
At
If
what
he-
level
if
of
he-
baseball?
If he has a no hitter, especially that should be a hit anyway. But that should be an error anyway. But especially if you're in the 7th inning and there's a no hit bid, or even the 5th inning with a no hit bid, that's not ruled a hit.
That's not ruled a
have
hit
to
in high
disagree.
school. That's not ruled a hit at middle school.
It was a very tough play.
The line.
I'm not
drive
saying
right
it
at
wasn't a
your
tough
chest.
play, but it was a line drive hit right at him. If he had to dive for it, if he had to even take more than a step towards
He
it,
ducked
fine. But
under
it
it.
hit the he ducked under it. Even if he had to jump, then sure it's a hit. But it was hit right at him, and he misplayed it. Granted, tough play, but not a hit.
Happy Gilmore dreams of those balls. It was right at his fucking chest.
Only 364 more days.
Regardless, the final line for him was 7 innings pitched, no hits, no runs. We just explained that there was one hit. There was 1 hit, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts. That is just the most ridiculous last 5 starts. I mean, the Yankees starting rotation specifically right now there's nobody better than them. And I don't even count. I don't even to look at the rest of the league. I know the Dodgers are probably up there as they always are, but like hard to get better than that through and through. Like there's no bad start in there. And if you want to pick one worst start out of there, I'd probably take I guess Montgomery or Nestor, but probably Montgomery since there's only 4 strikeouts. But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The Yankees pitching staff currently leads the American League in wins at 39, ERA at 2.74, strikeouts at 498, walks at 130, batting average against that is at 210. Strikeouts to walk ratio at 3.83, whip at 1.04, and shutouts 8. That is leading the American League in all of those things.
It's not bad for a bunch of 5 starters.
Yeah. That comment that guy made is really aging well.
Murph, you muted.
Yeah.
Would it be Murph?
Wow. Sorry. The whip is the most impressive of all of those. What did you say it was? 1.04?
Whip is at 1.04.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Because that includes the bullpen too, and for a pitching staff as a whole that has that, like I said,
I don't
specifically the bullpen.
I think pitching staff includes bullpen. Are you sure?
It does.
I thought it did.
They have one that's pitching staff and then one.
I mean,
that's
dude,
just starters.
498 strikeouts is a lot for a starting rotation. Am I wrong in saying that?
They would all have to have almost 100 in.
No, you're right.
I mean, Cole has 80.
It's a third of the way through the season. I don't know.
No,
you're right. You're
like
right.
60.
But I don't know. When I hear pitching staff, I think just
I mean, that's what rotation is.
You're
for.
probably right. Yeah, you're right. Well, then that makes it even crazier.
I'll say this. I think that, yes, that's crazy, but I also think that one of the other things that is the most impressive and also just helping out the team, aside from dominant pitching performances, is the fact that each of the starters went 7 innings. That's massive.
And this is a rotation that we've had Montgomery, who is granted pretty far off of his injury, but he's been pretty much at an innings limit.
Yeah.
And then you have Severino, who's coming fresh off of an injury, and you have Tyone, who's coming fresh off off-season surgery.
I mean,
and they're
did you hear the thing yesterday? Montgomery hit his season high in pitches at 89. So
there you go.
Through 7 innings, which is insane.
Exactly.
And that's
the fact that we have that kind of, these guys going that kind of distance, and then our bullpen is also fucking dominant, and Boone only needs to manage 3 innings of bullpen when you have guys who are just dominating left and right. It's I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that. Seriously.
He almost had to pitch Clay Holmes in a 4 or 5 run game. I don't think he ended up actually coming in, but
is that the
he
David
was up.
McKay game?
I think
David
so.
McKay.
I really can't remember what game, but he was up,
was.
and it was just to get him innings because it was far from a safe situation, but they just wanted to have him throw an inning. And the fact that you have to put your closer in a non-safe situation just to get him work is speaks a lot to how well the rotation is.
Is it signed, sealed, delivered that Clay Holmes is the closer now, even when Chapman comes back?
Yeah.
I don't know how you put Chapman in.
I don't know how you could.
Holmes. I mean,
they're going to the same reason they put Hicks and Gallo out there every night. They're gonna put him back out there. They're gonna give us Chappie. He's been such an effective guy for us for so long, and then he's gonna blow 4 more before that guy. Fuck.
I think that if they're both on rest, neither of them pitched the day before, and it's a 1-run game in the 9th inning, that they will put Clay Holmes in first. If Clay Holmes pitched the day before, maybe they'll put Chapman out in the 9th. But
I mean, I don't want to discount anything Clay Holmes has done so far because he's been incredible, but he didn't look amazing in his last time trying to close the game out. I mean, he walked 2-3 people. He hit a guy.
He hit 2, and walked 1. Yeah.
He hit Trout. Walked another guy. he got out of it, right? And that's all great. But
See, like that though, that is Clay Holmes looking his worst and still getting it done. When you compare that to Chapman does that every single night and gets it done, like that'll happen once in a while. He's a human being. It'll happen. He's going against the meat of the order too. He's going against Trout and Ohtani. Like that'll happen no matter what, and he still was able to get out of it. That's awesome.
it's got to be a nerve thing. He hasn't really closed games. Like this.
I mean,
Is
Josh
I
nerve
don't know
thing.
if it's a nerve thing. I think it's just. I think he's a human. It'll happen.
Well-
But I'm most excited about that because he clearly didn't have his A stuff, and he still was able to wiggle out of a save situation like that against one of the best three people consecutively. I mean, not best lineups, but best three. He went through the heart of the order there. Mike Trout and Ohtani at least, and it was. I don't know.
He hit a guy. I think correct me if I'm wrong, and I might be. I'm just kind of trying to remember back, but he got 2 outs, and then the first hit by pitch, like it really wasn't even that bad of a pitch. It got away from him a little bit, and then it just, I believe it clipped an ankle or something. It was something. It really
skimmed his pants.
Yeah, like it was barely hit by pitch, and then you got a runner on, hit a guy, and then maybe it got away from him a little bit, but he really did bring it back. And Chapman, it's a little different. Like he'll legitimately just can't find the zone.
Yeah.
And he'll walk 3 guys. Like Clay Holmes, nobody hit him. Like it's not like there wasn't a hit in that inning, and whatever, but. Chapman, like I really wasn't worried about Holmes the way I've been worried about Chapman, even when he's at his best.
Because
So,
Chapman does it every time. Chapman does it every single time, and then the people that are like trying to defend Chapman will be like, "Well, he's still getting all the saves and all this and that." But like, this is the first time Clay Holmes has ever done that, and he still got out of it. And like, it's just I'm not worried in the slightest about Clay Holmes. It's fine. He's gonna be. I'm more confident he's going to err on the side of like the next 10 being just dominant Clay Holmes. For every 10 or for every however long 2 months of a season, if we get one of those, I'm perfectly fine with that being the closer.
I mean, and it wasn't like when Chapman's off, which is like 60% of the time now, like he's missing by 10 feet. Clay Holmes was missing by like 2-3 inches.
Yeah.
And that's easy to do when you throw 100-mile-an-hour sinkers.
Yeah,
That
and,
move,
and
you know,
Chapman,
30 inches.
and Chapman is the inverse of what we just saw Clay Holmes in terms of the ratio of good outings to bad outings. Like Clay Holmes will have 1 out of every like however many, like 15 that he'll have bad outings. Or that he'll have.
He's had what 25 outings, and he's had
Clay Holmes has
1.
Yeah, and then
Questionable
the
one, and
inverse
he
is
still didn't allow a
Chapman
run?
looking like shit for 24 outings, and then oh my god, look, dominant Chapman's back. Like that's not what we want in a closer. So. Anywho.
Chapman's going to be the 8th inning guy because also now I'm assuming Chapman's going to be back before Loizaga. He's certainly going to be back before Chad Green. So there's an 8th inning slot open.
Loizaga coming back next week.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought he was a little longer. But either way, even if
Loizaga not going to get an 8th inning spot over Chapman just by the name. It just
point is Chapman's going to
Loizaga
take the
hasn't
spot.
been awesome.
Chapman's going to take the spot that Chad Green would have had if he wasn't terrible / hurt. Like the ideal before the season innings that Chad Green was going to take is going to probably fall to Chapman.
No, I think it would have been Loizaga's before the season role would be the setup guy, not Chad Green.
Well,
Chad
if Loizaga's coming back, wouldn't he still keep that role?
But if you're saying the preseason role that of the 8th inning guy was going to be Loizaga, so that would be now what I would figure Chapman would be doing.
Loizaga struggled even before he got hurt, so I think Chapman's going to have that 8th inning. But
yeah, we're talking about the same inning. But
I know what you're saying.
Because preseason, if you're asking Chandler what Chad Green's role is, Chandler, is he sniffing the 8th before preseason for you?
Chad Green?
Yeah, that's what Murph was saying.
Maybe on like a little league all-star team.
Exactly.
I'm not saying you're wrong about that, but he was supposed to be the high leverage guy before the season.
Ish.
So Chapman, I will say this: it's going to go one of 2 ways when he does get demoted. Inevitably, he's either going to implode.
Not gonna get demoted.
No,
Not
demoted to the
minor
8th inning.
leagues,
He's
dickhead.
saying.
Okay, all right. Clem.
I know they're not going to cut him. I'm just so.
Well, people are talking about cutting Joey Gallo, but he says he's got no options. So like that's why we need to clarify out here. When the team's this good, I don't know. People are calling for it.
Like 63-year-old Jim on Twitter that's following 1,000 and has one follower. I'm not just like, yeah, DFA, fucking Anthony Rizzo. That's what needs to happen. He's 0 for his last 6. So no, I know that's not how that works. I'm just saying whenever he gets moved down instead of demoted to the 8th inning role, he's either going to absolutely fucking implode and be useless, or I think he might find a new home and just absolutely dominate it. I don't know
Yeah, I
which
can
one,
see
but
both.
it's either one or the other.
I mean, it's not like it is a slight, but it's not really a slight. It's just Clay Holmes has been that good that it shouldn't be like embarrassing almost that he's not Chapman the closer anymore. You know what I mean? Like he might take it that way, and I think that's what you're getting at is like, how do you handle a situation like that when you've been the closer for the last 15 years of your career or however long? You know what I mean? Like I don't think he's going to handle it all that well. And for that reason, I think that's why they haven't done it, because for a guy who's been the closer for so long, it's like, how do you show up to the ballpark on days you're not the guy anymore? You literally lost a job that you've had for so fucking long. You've only been that guy. So it's going to be a very big adjustment period, but I know be better is one thing. I'm just saying how he's going to react to it is he clearly can't be better, and he won't be better enough to be.
I mean, he was told I'm pretty sure in a press conference, someone asked him about that. Obviously, what are you gonna say in this situation? You're not gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm cool with it. Like, he was just like, I'm open to like splitting closer time. So like,
he's gonna say that.
I know he's gonna say that, but you can always like hear like the hesitation of like, I'm just saying this just so I don't get fined and fired.
It's a lot easier if you're Chapman to accept a new role when the guy taking your spot has a lower ERA than my college GPA. Like, he can't just be like, oh yeah, no, I'm better than Clay Holmes, I should be the closer.
Right.
Like, the guy is having an unbelievable year.
There's no controversy.
Like, should be in the conversation for Cy Young if this keeps up by the end of the year. He hasn't allowed a run since opening day, like we already mentioned. It's a little easier to stay. If he had a 2.6 ERA and was okay, and Chapman's still in the 8th inning, that's different. But he's the best reliever in baseball right
when
now.
your
You have
name
to
is
let him.
like neck and neck with Josh Hader, who hasn't given up a run since July of last season, that's pretty fucking good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's wild also. July of last year? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I'd like to rescind my Clay Holmes is the best reliever in baseball because I completely forgot for the second time, because I know I've said that before, that Josh Hader's a person.
Dude, this is 0 ERA.
All right, so one thing that I did notice today is that we are officially at the 1/3 point through the season. So I wanted to do a little fun exercise before we get into rounding third, which is our hot take segment that we buy and sell. We have our own that we come with, but we also will buy and sell yours that you submitted to us on social media. But I did notice a few fun things that I want to throw out there to you guys. Is that since we're officially 1/3 of the way in and we're into June, which I mentioned on this podcast many times, is when I personally will now look at cumulative stats, ratio stats, anything. All of this now, in my mind, 1/3 of the way into the season matter. Like now you could say like, oh, wow, look at that. George Springer's got an 880 OPS. I'm looking at the screen right now, but like anything that you look at right now, it's a good representation, good sample size, as Murph likes to say. So
Hell yeah.
when you take all of these numbers that they currently have, Murph, you just multiply them by 3. Quick math checks out. We're 1/3 of the way in, multiplied by 3. That's a season-long pace for where we're at right now. And I think this is fun to look at because it's not there's not that many assumptions. It's just doing it for 2 more times. So I don't know. I want to look at a few of these and see what you guys think. So right now, the Yankees are currently on pace for 117 wins. That would beat the record of most wins all time for a single season by 1 game. Last one to do it. Does anybody have any guesses / know who it was?
2001.
That's
Can we
the
talk
one.
Murderers Row? No? All right.
No, that's the Mariners in 2001. That's the most ever by a single team, and the Yankees are currently on pace to beat that. And I mean, I don't know. This isn't going to be my hot take, but I don't think they'll get there. But it's not unrealistic to say that they're going to continue this hot streak. They've not shown that much. I mean, they're playing good teams. I don't like when a team is winning like as much as they are. Everybody assumes like, oh, they're going to go through a really cold spell, but like they kind of did. A couple people got hurt. they started off cold, lost series against the Orioles, and everybody's saying the sky's falling or whatever, and they're still sitting at the top of the league on pace for 117 wins. So I don't know. Chapman goes down, Stanton goes down, kind of the ship. Donaldson, DJ. The ship kind of just keeps rolling, and with the starting pitching staff like this and a pitching staff like we just mentioned before that leads the league in all of those things that I mentioned at the top of the show, and they have all the firepower they have on offense and bullpen. I mean, they look pretty fucking damn good. I don't think they're going to win the most wins ever, but I think it's not unrealistic to say that they're going to keep this pace up at least to the tune of 110 wins plus, which would be fucking awesome. That would be so cool.
So let me bring you back to about a month ago. And I don't know what the exact episode was, but we were talking about it, and it was around the time people were getting hurt. And we had 2 games against the Blue Jays, 4 against the White Sox, and then, 4 against the Orioles, then 3 more against the White Sox, 3 more against the Orioles. And then it was Rays, Angels, Tigers, Twins, Rays, Blue Jays, Rays, Astros. So like for that month, looking ahead as people were getting hurt, month and a half, I was very worried because I didn't think they could really keep it going at that point because people are getting hurt. We're playing the Blue Jays. We're playing the Rays for the first time. The Angels were really hot at the time. The Twins didn't look too bad at the time. And here we are a month later.
Gallo struggling.
I'm
Hicks is
I'm
the
not
worst.
scared
like
of.
these
I'm
guys.
not scared of anybody. I mean, yeah, like that was Heel's gone, Chad Green's gone.
Yeah.
Not that Chad Green was good, but like we were losing arms, and it seemed like somebody was getting hurt every day. I know DJ got hurt at one point. Stanton was hurt. So I'm thinking, all right, here it comes. Here comes the cold spell. Back to reality. Whatever. I mean, granted, we split with the Rays, but here we are. Swept the Angels, swept the Tigers. We're going to play the Twins, who we're historically very good against. And then, I'm still looking ahead to Rays, Blue Jays, Astros. Though that's going to be a tough series towards the end of the month. But, I mean, the way things are going, and if we get Loaizaga back by then, we could theoretically, basically, if we reevaluate at the beginning of July and those series go as they could, it could be like completely separation, like that 117 you're talking about.
You think we have a chance?
If we're looking, if we have the same or very
so cool.
similar win percentage on June 27th, then I'll be like, okay, maybe. I'm being serious.
I don't know. I just feel like that's a tall task to
I mean, it's it's the tallest, really.
It's the tallest task there is. I feel out of all I'm about to run a bunch of cumulative and like stats pacing full season based on what people are doing on the Yankees individually. I mean, obviously that's the toughest one to get to, but I think it'd be fun after I rattle these all off to say either what's the most likely for all of us that we think is going to happen, and what do you think the hardest to do? Like, just react to these and say what we think about all of these. So
can I add one thing real quick to the record?
Yeah.
Do you see? I think we're the 5th team in Major League history to have 39 wins in their first 54 games.
Did not see that. That is
pretty good. It's encouraging.
Better than most.
Yeah.
It's better than most.
Better than most.
So on this as well, like, I think that a few things. I think that, I feel like this whole season so far, in my head, I've just kind of been saying to myself, like, all right, like, they're going to cool down eventually. Like, Nestor's not this good. He'll cool down eventually.
Well, that's just wrong.
This guy just keeps getting fucking better and better, right? Like, we keep saying, oh, yeah, someone will get injured eventually, and, we'll cool down because, we'll have the injury bug. And, like, we kind of went through that for a little bit, and we just kept winning too. Like, all these things are kind of happening to us, and, this is going to sound stupid, but we're beating the bad teams and we're playing well against the good teams. And that's something we really did not do last year, and we talked about that a lot. And it just everything just looks so much different. And I think with all that being said, like, yeah, it's the tallest. It's one of the tallest orders to ask for. But if things continue this way, and like when we face this, like, these adversity kind of just like turning points in the season, and we fight through them, and we keep playing and winning, and we're doing that, I don't see why we couldn't.
Yeah. All right, let me go through the rest of these. So Judge right now currently has 21 home runs. That's a full season pace of 63. Everybody knows what the Yankees record is. That's 61 by the Roger Maris in 1961. There's a movie written about it. That would be wild.
61.
That would be wild. That would be so wild. That's crazy. Aaron Judge. I think of all of these ones that I should have probably left this out till the end. I think this one actually is going to happen. Like I think 117 wins is a tall order, but I think on an individual basis, I mean, it all lines up so that to the point, like he's got just he's got the talent, obviously. He's got the incentive. He's in a contract year. He's just absolutely tearing the cover off the ball in every respect. He's hitting for average, so I don't think he's going to slump a little bit in terms of like fall into those spells where he's just not hitting the ball because he's a complete hitter. He hits everything. It's just he's at Yankee Stadium. He's got the short porch. He hits it to opposite field a lot. He doesn't need the short porch to left field. He's got the power to hit it onto the concourse. It's just everybody. I don't need to sell you on the fact that Aaron Judge can hit home runs. But I think in the contract year and the way he's seen the beach ball right now, that's how it seems to him. I think, spoiler alert, before we get into rounding third, my hot take is that Aaron Judge breaks Roger Maris's home run record. And I think 63 is very much in his wheelhouse. And it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. The MLB record is 73. I don't think he'll get there. That's Barry Bonds, but that would be crazy. But I think
Reuter again, maybe.
Yeah, if we had a designated Reuter and just juiced Judge up with some roids, that would be he'd hit 85. But I just think my hot take, and yeah, it's a hot take, but is it even really that hot of a take? Because
Yes,
it's a very hot take.
Okay, you guys don't never let me finish because I was saying it's not. Is it really as much of a hot take as any of the other hot takes that we've ever given out? Because he's currently on pace to do it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not pulling something out of thin air that's saying, Aaron Judge before the season, I'm going to say he's going to hit 100 home runs, or him and Stanton are going to, hit a combined 112. You know what I mean? He's literally currently 1/3 of the way in. Obviously, there's a lot of things that can happen. He could get hurt. He could just not be hitting the cover off the ball like he is right now on an MVP pace. I just think he can continue to do it. I think, the one thing that he has shown in the past, though, that goes against this is that sometimes he doesn't need the home run ball and he can just hit for average, and he might just do that for a month, and then the pace is no longer the pace, and then he's not going to hit 63. And currently he has to hit at this mashing rate in order to even sniff Roger Maris's jockstrap that season. But you know what I'm saying? I think that it's interesting to note that he's actually currently on the pace. It's not like he's below the pace, and I'm saying, hey, he's doing this amazing and he's going to pick it up some more. So
I'm going to give you one reason why. One reason that I agree and one reason I disagree with you. One, I didn't like, there was one part where you were talking about, he can decide he just wants to hit for average and that he's not really hitting home runs anymore. His home runs aren't on purpose. Those happen because of how good of a baseball player is. He's not going to adjust. He's not going to adjust his swing, and it's going to make a vast difference. So I don't think that really has anything to do with it. But on the flip side of that, I think, part of the reason I don't think he's going to do it, just for the record, it's just such a big task. I hope to God I'm wrong. It's just, I don't, again, it's just, he would have to do this for an entire season. But I mean, he got off to a relatively slow start through the first 10, 15 games, which when you're talking about a third of a season, 15 games is a big part of that, So, I mean, he had one home run through the first 15, 16 games, something like that. So he got off to a slow start, and then he's just on a torrid pace since then. So he's hitting one every other night now.
So, I mean, that kind of goes to you can kind of, he had a cold spell and he's still on pace for it. So you can have those moments with a guy like him that can just not even have a cold spell. He didn't have a cold spell. He was hitting for average. They just weren't home runs. And I agree. I think, like you said, he kind of takes what's given to him. If you throw him one low and away, he's going to take that the other way. He's not going to wait for a home run pitch and try to put that one over the fence. He's going to literally take anything that's given to him. And that, in one instance, in this very specific moment, is to his demise, because we want him to break the Roger Maris record. That doesn't mean he's doing bad. That means he might not hit 61 home runs. But I mean, I don't know. I think what you said kind of makes the case for the possibility that makes him that much more equipped to do it too, because he had a cold spell, so to speak, for home runs at least, and he's still on pace to do it. It's just, if anybody can do it on the Yankees, at least this season, it's him. The one thing is, and everybody will tell you, it's the health thing, and he's playing a lot of games. He's got 52 games. There's another one on my list. He's got 52 games played this year. That's on pace for 156. That is so many baseball games for a guy that's allegedly injury prone. So
that's
only
one thing
that could hurt him is if. Sorry, Murph. Let me do
No,
this
you're
real quick, and I'll pop it back over. But the only thing, if they keep winning at this rate and they lock up the AL East, say beginning of September, he's going to get a lot more rest down the stretch.
Think so?
And those kind,
I don't know.
if they've locked up the East, if they have a 12-game lead, rolling into the first weekend in September, I don't know, the roster still expanded September, right? So they're going to get these guys in. They're going to rotate guys in. We have 12 games to play with. We don't want to waste Judge and get him hurt against the Orioles when we're up, 12 games in the East, and we have 3 weeks to play before the playoffs. You know what I mean? Because
I just don't know if
you
that's
lose
going to
Judge,
happen.
what? I'm just saying.
I think the
those are
lead
gonna
will
go
stick
hand in hand.
around. I think the lead will just stick around somewhere in the 6 to 8 game range, where it's not enough to say like, hey, we can start resting. I agree. If they end up getting to the 13, 14 game range, it might make sense to sit him against the Orioles to get him some rest. But again,
And
like
that's not an-
as
but
we've
if he
mentioned,
has-
not
but
an
if he has-
everyday thing.
no, I know.
That's
I'm just
like-
saying, but
he's
I
gonna
don't think
sit
we'll get to
more.
that point. I think the Blue Jays and the Rays will keep it close enough to not have him. Like, we're not going to run away with it. But
for the record, I don't like. First of all, Rella, this is a great hot take, but that's what it is. It's a hot take.
yeah,
Like
he's
the odds
breaking
of doing
the
that
Yankee
are-
record. Yeah,
exactly. But
been some
if
good dudes
he
on the
has
Yankees before.
50
So
if he has 55 home runs going into September, they're not going to sit him.
that's
No
true,
matter
too.
what the lead
so,
is.
To
So,
what
like-
Chandler was saying, if you get down to the line, like,
Yeah, I don't think that's
it's
going to be the reason he does.
I know Judge isn't a big personal accolade guy, and everybody will say that. Breaking Roger Maris's record is reason to keep the personal accolade. Like, that doesn't happen. No, nobody ever has that opportunity to say that that's very different from anything else. Like, it's history. It's literally history. It's like hitting like Miggy. Like, it's like trying to get a 3,000th hit. Like, if Miggy was coming down to it, and maybe, like, let's say this is his final year and he was really close to it, are you going to sit him? It's the same thing. It's just a single season record, but like, it's the same exact thing. It's, if not more, because you're the best to do it on your team. And a few other people have done 3,000 hits, but different example. But I do think if we're close, he's playing every single game. Like, let's say we have a month and he needs like 10 more home runs. He's playing every single night. If he sniffs it, he's DHing on nights that he would not have otherwise played at all.
You also don't want to like mess up his rhythm though too towards the playoffs. Like, I feel like that's also like a controversial thing. Like, you don't want to sit him too much, and then he gets to the playoffs and he's kind of off his groove, and then that's a whole different situation.
I'm just
I
happy to
totally
see that
agree with you. I'm
he's not
just
even sitting. So I'm happy. At least that's potentially the most eye-opening thing out of this whole list, and I have a lot more to go through. But is that him and Rizzo are playing almost every single game. Rizzo has 53 games. The Judge is 52. Rizzo is on pace for 159 out of 162 for the folks keeping score at home. It's a lot of fucking games. I really like seeing people play. I mean, we talked about a few things already on this episode. Is that people are fucking playing games. I mean, Stanton's coming back and he missed some time, but people are playing games.
He missed the minimum.
He missed the minimum. People are playing games, and the pitching staff is going deep into games. That is the two biggest things we did not have going for us in the past 2 years. So,
yep.
It's gonna hurt if they don't make a deep run this year. This is like last year. Nobody expected it, and we got eliminated. I was sad, and this is a little off topic, but I don't care. It needs to be said. This year, if all things stay equal, and we not even to this pace, because this is unrealistic to expect this over 162, but if they keep up something similar to this and make the playoffs, this is going to hurt the most in a long time. Coming off the Judge news preseason, into a off season of uncertainty, all that. If we don't make a deep run, if we don't at least make it to the World Series after this kind of year, assuming it keeps up, that's going to be the most.
World Series or bust.
I mean, I'm not going
It's
to
obvious, yeah.
recover. I'm not going to recover.
I'm
I
not
can't.
gonna
I can't
recover.
handle it.
No, I won't either. That's gonna hurt like a bitch. This is gonna hurt like a motherfucker. But why talk about that? We're gonna win it all. I mean,
Because
this
it talks
this
about
team's good.
the talent of this team. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to. I'm saying this out of recent memory, this team is so. I can't believe I'm saying this just based off of how I felt about this team preseason, but it's just so much different. The feeling around the team is different. They're packing out 11:30 a.m. games that are streamed on fucking Peacock. Not that that has anything to do with people showing up to the game, but you know what I mean. 11:30 a.m. games, they're selling out. Everybody's on their feet every pitch, every single night. It's just this.
They were saying that it felt like a playoff atmosphere on a random June series against the Tigers.
That's what I'm
And the
saying.
Angels,
It
who had
feels
Sunday
and the
at
Angels-
11.
And the Angels series too. They were saying over the weekend that it felt like an actual. Well, that wasn't over the weekend, but it felt like a playoff atmosphere, and that's a team that had lost like what 8 in a row. Like they're not doing too hot. I mean, it's exciting seeing Trout and Ohtani coming to town, but
Yeah.
I mean the Tigers. People were saying that against the Tigers, it felt like a playoff atmosphere, and just there's a different buzz right now in the Bronx, and it's very exciting. And yes, it's gonna hurt like fucking hell if they don't do it. But and you look at the team, and this is why is because this is the first team in a while that I've actually pointed out and said like, and we've all said this is a complete team. This team is built to win. We can
And
win.
they love playing together.
They
That's
love
the
playing
big thing.
together, with the exception of one guy who didn't like people not taking his back in a certain situation. But that specific guy ended up hitting a walk-off too, so he's doing just fine. But it's crazy. They can beat you in so many ways. Offensively, the most important piece of this whole thing to me is the starting rotation. And when you go in for a playoff series, and everybody always matches people up because it's very inconsistent to say, you know, we've had bats. We've had the bats before. We've had fucking an 8-hitter being Edwin Encarnacion, which at the time was doing well before the playoffs, and he was shit in the playoffs. But you know, we've always had the bats every single year in, year out, and we always don't make it to the World Series, and we've had this 10-year drought because of it. But the one thing we didn't have is this depth in the pitching staff. We're seeing it right now. I don't know that it slows down. I think everybody is just, they are that good. They're all, I just think they're a really good starting rotation. And then I think the bullpen gets even better than it is now too, which is scary to say because there's a lot of people that are underperforming or hurt. So I think Chapman isn't as bad as he really is showing to be right now. I think Loaziga hopefully figures it out. And if he figures it out, that's an extra electric arm that we find. And we're going to trade for David Bednar, like I keep saying. So, and that might be in a Miggy conversation later. But I don't know. I just think this team is so well equipped to win, and I'm very excited for it. Do you want me to go through a few more of these potential Yankee records / MLB records for this for the team, whether it's good or bad?
Sure.
Let's do it quicker, but yeah.
So
That was important.
Judge right now.
No, it was.
What?
I was just saying that one was important. Murph said to go quicker, but I said that was a bit important.
No,
one.
it was. I was joking.
Yeah, shut up, Murph. So Gallo strikeouts. He currently has 60.
Over.
That is currently on pace for 180 over the
That's
full
it?
season, which is not even his personal most. So kudos to him.
Wow.
his-
That is so crazy.
keep in mind, he did miss some games, so
Hey,
that,
small wins.
that doesn't help him win the pacing there. So maybe if he continues to play every game, if he doesn't get benched before then or get sent down or cut, he's on a good pace here. So 180 over the full season as it currently sits based on the first third of the season. The MLB record is 223. The Yankee record is 211. That was by Stanton in 2018. But yes, his personal most is 213. Not good. I'm gonna take the. Here's my line I'll set. Since he didn't play much, I would actually consider him, like, let's say he stays healthy, because he did miss some games in the first third. If he stays healthy, do you think that he can break his personal record? That'll be the over/under that I set. So he's on pace for 180 with missing some time. He's gonna keep playing every day. I mean, I think that And here's the benefit too. The Yankees are so good that you can afford to let somebody like that get run and just try and potentially figure it out. Had the team not been as good, had they been like, struggling to be on top of the AL East or whatever it may be, or just like not.
They were where they were last year.
If they were where they were last year, Miggy's probably still on the roster and you're running him out in the outfield because he was the hot bat, and you don't have the luxury of saying like, hey, we're up 7 games in the AL East. We're the best record in baseball. We're on pace for 117 wins. Let's just keep running Gallo out there because we have a lot invested in him. We traded for him. We want him to figure it out by the end of the season. So like we can afford to have him and Hicks just twiddle their thumbs in the outfield till they figure out how to hit a baseball. Like you can afford that. I think if they were where they were last year, we probably have Miggy on the team. That's neither here nor there, but I think the fact that he will be probably still running it out there every game for the rest of the year, I'm going to take over his personal best of 213 strikeouts.
I don't think he's going to be out there every game the rest of the year. So I'm going to take the under because I think one way or another, something, without divulging too much of my rounding third for later, I don't think he's going to get the at-bats to break it.
Okay.
I think he's going to figure it out.
I hope he does.
I think he'll figure it out, but he'll still get 180.
So 180.
That's also a very real possibility.
I mean, yeah.
That's his game.
That's his game. So like he can figure it out and still, when he got 213, he had a great year. Besides that,
I don't know that. But.
I'm almost certain.
He was. Before he became a Yankee.
Yeah, he was every year he was in Texas. He was great.
All right,
So
I'll rattle off some more so we can speed up and go into the actual rounding thirds. But IKF has 8 steals right now. That's on pace for 24 steals. The MLB record was 130.
He's right there.
That was you're right there. That was by Ricky Henderson. Aaron Hicks, who made mention of his steals, has 5 right now. That's on pace for 15. Again, the record was 130. Aaron Hicks home runs, 30-30 season. He wanted to have it. He has 1 right now. That's on pace for 3. Again, like I mentioned before, the record is 73 there. That's my rounding third. I think he gets there. Could you imagine? Rizzo games, like I said, 53, on pace for 159. Judge, 52, on pace for 156. Those are awesome to see. Nestor Cortez ERA, 1.5, 1/3 of the way in. The record was 1.64, which Nestor currently has beat, quick math there for you, by Spud Chandler in 1943.
Doesn't count.
Good name.
It's got a good last name. Good first name,
Absolutely no way.
No chance.
No shot.
No chance.
No fucking shot.
Really?
Do you
He's
think
hitting
Nestor
206.
Cortez is going to come out of nowhere and
Could
have
you-
the
What do you mean
lowest
come out of
ERA
nowhere? I mean,
ever?
He's currently
Come
doing it.
yes, come out of nowhere. He was not even considered. You could say he wasn't even considered a 5 starter before the season.
I know. Well,
And so yes, he came out of
I
nowhere.
meant come out of nowhere because I'm just saying he's right now he's done it for. He has the record through 1/3. Can he do
Bro,
that? Can he do this 2 more times? No.
There's no way.
Rel, that's like Rob Brantley coming out and hitting 74 home runs. Like, no, I'm saying before the year.
But
Like
he's doing it.
like this year would be this guy came out of nowhere and for whatever reason had a 1.5 ERA through a whole season. Like that is no.
But he's
He's
doing it.
finishing.
no.
He's finishing at 206
Pe-
and 3rd in Cy Young.
Rel, you know how many people have had 3-month clips of having a 1.5
Yes, I know.
ERA?
And it's splitting hairs too, because it's a ratio stat, so 1.5. If he gives up a couple runs here and there, that's well over 1.6, and it blows up a lot more. I know.
That would
It's
be
just fun to think.
quite literally one of the craziest sports stories in the history of time if he does that.
That would be a 30 for 30. That'd be a 30 for 30.
yeah.
You
Like-
remember when R.A. Dickey had that one year that just like they made
Yeah,
like,
he won a Cy Young.
documentaries and shit about him, and then he was
Yeah.
just terrible the rest of his life.
What if I told you a man with a
He
mustache?
threw a Cy Young at like 38.
Yeah,
With a
and then he
knuckleball.
signed like a $70 million deal, made it 1 year, and got cut. That could be wrong.
So
but
Garrett
sounds-
Cole has 81 strikeouts. He's on pace for 243. The Yankee
Hammer the
record,
over.
right now, by Ron Guidry, 1978, is 248.
Wow.
Didn't he have 300 when he was on the Astros?
On the
he
Astros,
did.
but not on the Yankees.
Yeah.
The Yankees record is 248 by Ron Guidry and 78.
I think he breaks that.
I think he does too because he hasn't
I think
really
he
been
does.
dominant Cole for the
I
entire.
know. I think that's probably the one that I think happens out of all those.
I could agree.
If I could pick one, that's the one.
You want to
So
know why?
far,
Because
yeah.
last year he was on pace for it to like blow it out of the water, and then he missed like a month. Yeah, he finished with 243 last year, and he missed 4 starts.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
I'm
Assuming
gonna hammer-
Garrett,
I'm gonna
assuming
hammer
he
that.
doesn't get hurt, hopefully, I mean, God willing. I mean, he has, and obviously the last like 4 or 5 starts he's been dominant Cole, and he's back now fully. But like he had a point where he was struggling for the first month of the season, so to be on pace for 243, I'm absolutely taking the over on that. I think, like I said, of all of the other ones, this is a lot more of a consistent thing. He can actually. It's not like home runs are very random and they're sporadic. So when you compare this to the Judge home runs versus the Roger Maris 61, that's a lot less likely in my mind just because of the consistency factor. Strikeouts. Like Garrett Cole is a strikeout pitcher. He will continue to do this. He has continued to do this. This isn't even his personal most. Like you said, he had 300 and something for the Astros in that fantastic year before he came to the Yankees. So I think if you were
I'm
a betting
surprised
man,
that's the record.
I can
like,
double check.
No, I
that.
believe you. I'm just surprised.
Name,
Like,
name a career dominant Yankee pitcher.
CC
CC?
could for this
Pettit?
is single season, but like, yeah, I mean, obviously the game's changed and strikeouts are way more common than they used to be. But like, yeah, Pettit came to mind, CC came to mind. I mean, Randy Johnson was here for a year. I wouldn't think he would do that, but he was a strikeout pitcher and he pitched for the Yankees.
He was in close to his 40s though when he was here. Wasn't
No,
he?
I know. I'm just thinking of the first couple
just
names
Yeah,
saying,
that
no,
came
like,
in my head.
it's
but
Guidry. It's confirmed.
When you think
who was second? I'm curious.
when you think
I
of
don't have
Yankee
that.
greats, I mean, Cole had 243 last year. So, I mean, when you think of Yankee greats, though, you don't think of pitchers really. I mean, obviously, there's some sprinkled in there. There's an exception to every rule, or multiple in this case. But I'm just saying, when you think of historic great Yankee players, you don't come up with the name Bronx Bombers. That wasn't invented 10 years ago. You don't get that name because you have, historically great pitching. They're just, I mean,
they
have
do.
great
They like
pitchers.
very much do, though.
They do, but it's sprinkled throughout. I'm just saying, you don't look at the Yankees when you think of historic Yankees who have set like crazy records.
He had
pitchers aren't the ones that come to mind.
326 in 2019 on the Astros and did
No,
not even win Cy Young. That was the year Verlander did it. That's crazy.
I'm just basically. I was thinking, how does CC not have more than 240 strikeout? 40 whatever. What did you say? 47. Like
48.
I would have guessed that CC would have had more than 248 in
Yeah,
one of
maybe
the
his first
years.
year. Did he win a Cy Young with us? I think he
CC did.
I don't think he did.
He won one,
Oh, he
but
did?
with not with us, with Cleveland.
Yeah, not with
he
us.
came in 4th, 3rd, and 4th with the Yankees. His most
I love
strikeouts in a single season, CC Sabathia, that is 251.
What about with us?
Not with us. With us, 230.
Hmm.
So.
Interesting.
Yeah, and last one, Cole innings pitched actually is another one before the last one, 64.2 right now. He's on pace for 192. His most is 212, so I think he honestly gets that too. I think he'll continue to go deeper
that's
into games.
factoring in that one game he threw like an inning.
Yeah, so I think if he does better, he's pretty much on pace for his season most. And he does that every year. He's a workhorse, so it's not like it's just he's going to be overworked like potentially Clay Holmes is that we've been talking about for a while. IKF errors 6. He's on pace for 18, so that's not good. I don't have the season most for that. I couldn't find that stat, but I'll
Should've
tell
been
you
7.
what, it is not good. And he was supposed to be the defensive wonder kid, or whatever you want to call it. Not good. But
I like that you're joining my side on this.
I mean, 6 errors is.
I mean,
is not
we
a
can't
little bit.
say we're upset with the way he's played.
I'm not upset. He's
No, no.
performing exactly to expectations, not a shade higher or lower.
He's also made some tough plays too. Like I think there's one thing when a Glaber, maybe not this year because he actually has been pretty good defensively this year just by the eye test. But like, when Glaber was at short, he makes all these errors, but it's not like he's making up for it with any spectacular range or saving runs and whatever. But for every error, IKF probably has 2 plays that the average shortstop doesn't make.
I disagree with that.
Maybe not 2, but at least 1.
All right, I want to break this up before we get into the rounding thirds. This episode, as I mentioned before, is brought to you by Underdog. Underdog Fantasy is the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. No waivers, trades, or lineup setting or anything like that. Stress-free. Underdog Fantasy lets you draft your fantasy team just in minutes, Murph. Sign up now with the code 161boys and double your first deposit up to $100 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit of $10 or more. Deposit $100, get a free $100. That is free money, and that is fun times with the fellas. With their slick mobile app and user-friendly website, you'll have no problem jumping in and drafting your squad. It's a lot of fun. You could do these fun games that we've actually been playing. You can win 20 times your money on the pick'em games in one night. Just pick the over-under on your favorite player's stats to win big. So if you think like Judge is going to hit a home run and Aaron Hicks is going to strike out 3 times, you can win 20 times your money. So, and that's probably going to happen every single night. You pick between 2 and 5 players. You could also pick from rivals, which pits 2 players against each other. It's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun ways to win money on there, and a lot of fun ways to just not even about the money. It's just a fun app, and you can just bet on players. The most fun thing for me, I think, is the individual player things. I think it's just fun. It's easier, honestly, in my opinion, because if you follow the team like you do us, you can see who's hot and who's not. Segment on the podcast, and you can ride that segment and parlay it into a nice Hicks strikeout and Aaron Judge home run. So,
good use of gambling language.
mm-hmm. So, you want to get into rounding third?
Sure.
Sure thing.
All right. So I mentioned my rounding third, and we asked for your rounding thirds on social media. We'll get to those in a second. But what are yours? Because mine was Aaron Judge breaks Roger Maris's home run record, which honestly, if I just led with that and didn't preface it with like the pacing and all that stuff, yes, it sounds ridiculous. And it still sounds ridiculous now that I just said it out loud. But what are your rounding thirds? Are they as astronomical and historical as mine?
Yes, actually, and it
Really?
still relates to Aaron Judge. So I'll go first. I, full disclosure, don't necessarily believe this, but I think it could happen.
Hey, they're hot takes for a reason.
They're hot takes for a reason, and I think it will spark some debate. But Aaron Judge, if he has the season that he's been having, that continues, deserves a higher AAV than Mike Trout.
What's that? 36 million?
36 and a half.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's not going to get a $13 million or a 13-year deal. But
what's Trout at?
yearly?
430 for 13 or 430 for 12?
Yeah,
It's a lot of fucking money.
it's
But
lot
only
of
a $6
guacamole.
million raise over what he turned down. I don't.
Yeah, but didn't
I
he
think
want the
he'll get-
years though?
He wanted 36 and 10.
He got 8 and 2 something.
So Trout got 12 for 426.
Sheesh.
Quick math.
36 and a half.
Let me pull up my calculator for
35
quick
and a
math.
half.
Oh, 35 and a half.
All right. Well, now that I realize it's only 35 and a half, I actually am going to change my mind and say that he does deserve that. And maybe not does deserve that, but will get that.
I think
What,
it
did
wouldn't
you initially say
surprise
you
me.
wouldn't?
I was initially saying that he deserves it as my hot take, but I didn't know if I fully believed it. Like if it would happen, A, and B, if he did deserve it. But say Judge goes on an MVP year and sprinkle into what you said, Rella, that 61, 62, whatever.
If he breaks
You
Roger
can-
Maris's
it-
record,
throw-
you better fucking
throw-
believe he's going to get Mike Trout money,
Right.
more than Mike Trout
Throw
money.
a World Series in there.
I was just about to say that.
Then nobody cares. If you're the Yankees, you win a World Series this year and Aaron Judge wins MVP, right? How can you not bring him back?
You can
You
literally
have
get,
to. You bring him back, you name him captain, and you carry on as a dynasty.
Ask
If
Freddie
he
Freeman.
leaves, if he leaves, it's one and done. Period.
Freddie
My
Freeman,
biggest-
I was thinking the same thing that you were saying, though.
That's my
Freddie
biggest
Freeman
fear
did
in the
not.
world.
Freddie Freeman did not hit 61 home runs. Freddie Freeman did win a World Series, but that's a team thing, so you
Won
can't
an
really
MVP.
you can't 100% attribute it to. Yeah, you're right. He did win MVP, but I think I don't know.
But
I was
if
thinking the
that's
same thing.
here's
though.
the thing: if he wins MVP and we win the World Series, he's going to need Trout money, and if
Yep.
probably more.
I don't think he'll
AAV-wise.
get the years. I think so. I think he could get 36-ish. I think he could get that 36, maybe 37 that he wants. I just don't think, and I don't even think it's necessarily the Yankees. I don't think anybody's going to give him 10 years. That'll take him to his early 40s. So maybe like 9 years, 8 years, maybe something similar to Cole in years and value, but maybe a little bump. I could see that.
8 for 36.
I mean, there are pitchers who had the high AAVs like over 36. You know, Scherzer and Bauer both got over 40. But, I mean, for two very different reasons. I don't think they're going to sign him to $43 million because that's only going to be a couple of years. So I think it's going to be structured that way where it's going to carry him. Basically, what the contract is going to be is he's going to get as much money as he can to spend the rest of his career in pinstripes under one contract.
Totally fine. Give me 9 years, 36 a year. I don't even
Give me a World Series this year. I don't give a fuck what we pay him.
Me either.
I want to pay him. I really don't even care. I think he deserves it. I mean, he's one of the most dominant players we've been seeing in a long time. He's having the most ridiculous season. I mean, if he tops it all off, I think even if we don't win MVP and he doesn't hit 63 home runs, I still think he deserves the AAV that Trout is getting. Like I think he's gonna get it.
Even if he slows down, he's on pace to even hit like 280 with like 45 bombs. Like that's still a fucking incredible year
right now. Like he's doing everything. It's just ridiculous.
Even if he slows down like a good amount, he's still gonna have an incredible year.
And like he's got a better arm than Trout. He's a very good.
I mean, the World Series.
He's taller. He robbed a home run the other day. That was cool.
The World Series solidifies it, obviously, in my opinion. And that wasn't even a condition
Trout's
when I said my
never made the
rounding third to
playoffs.
begin with. But
Yeah, he has.
right, and I just feel like the Yankees need.
Yeah, he has.
They need a captain. They need that guy, and you have that guy, and you can't let him walk. And I don't think I would love to think that they won't let him.
Can only hope.
I'll buy it. I'm buying it. Chandler, what's yours?
Mine is that, and I'm want to preface it with the same disclaimer as Mr. Murph over there that I don't even necessarily believe it myself, but it wouldn't totally shock me. I'm going to say the Yankees don't trade Miguel Andujar, and he starts at least one playoff game this year, despite him requesting a trade.
That opens a whole can of worms.
But, I mean, if you look at it right now, I mean, Gallo and Hicks are just putting up useless ABs every single day. You have a team that's out there that's literally, as we've mentioned this whole episode, on pace to break records. They're on pace to literally be one of the best teams of all time, if not the best. You can't have two just gaping holes in your lineup and two traditionally good hitting spots. I mean, they're useless. They're fucking useless.
But they're never going to sit, though.
Yeah, but why?
Because of the implications.
It's the implication.
I'm just saying, if one
had to be there.
That was an inside joke. You wouldn't get it.
I don't get it. But this is what I was going to get at is because, you know, the hot name around the market has been Benintendi, whatever.
David Bednar. You said David Bednar wrong.
At the end of the day, it has to be one outfielder is going to have to go, and Cashman has shown reluctance to trade prospects. I mean, for a while, other than the Gallo trade, which was a desperation move. I stand by that.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
he's been
in the moment.
yeah, but he's been reluctant to trade prospects. So, and Benintendi, you know, believe the Yankee tax or don't, it's going to cost him a pretty decent size package, and he's going to. But I don't know. It would not shock me one bit if we get to this All-Star break or the trade deadline, whatever the fuck. It's around the same time, you know what I mean. So we get to the trade deadline. You know, they kick the tires, the famous 3 words that we hear every year. It doesn't happen. And then Miguel Andujar finds his way into some sort of role to where he maybe starts a couple games of the playoffs. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it wouldn't totally shock me.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Wouldn't totally shock me.
I think he gets traded.
He's asked for a trade before, and they didn't honor it.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Second time
Rella,
is the charm.
let me throw in. So the rounding third that I put by the wayside was that Andujar is going to be put in a package for Wilson Contreras around the deadline.
I don't want Wilson Contreras.
I don't necessarily either, and that's why I was desperately looking for a better one. But I read an article today about how he's as good as gone from the Cubs, and it kind of makes sense because you're not really losing
he's
much
having an
defensively,
incredible
and
year
he's
this
having
year.
a pretty good
He's
year.
no Trevino.
He is though.
I'm kidding.
The one thing is, like, as good as Jose Trevino is, Wilson Contreras is great, and I think he actually is that good, and he's been a highly touted prospect slash just catcher in general. Like everybody knows, Wilson Contreras is a good catcher. The Cubs are gonna blow it up. They should trade him. He's got value now. He's having a career year, and he's not gonna stay with them. I don't know what his contract situation looks like, but he's
a free agent at the end of the year.
Perfect. He doesn't fit the bill of somebody that is gonna be contending with them in the next 5 years. So, I could see it. Like I said, as good as Trevino has been, he's a clear upgrade over Trevino, and he's just a good catcher in general. I think Andujar is better served in the. I've been saying it a bunch, and I'll say it again just for that, just so we have tape, so that when Chandler makes the annual clip that I predicted that David Bednar was traded to the Yankees, we can use this material, mark it down. But I think value wise, Andujar. I think a lot of people, when we talk Andujar trades, a lot of people have to tender their expectations for what we're going to get back from Miguel Andujar, because Miguel Andujar, although he was having a good year this year, he hasn't got enough run that other scouts and GMs for other teams are going to be like, yep, that's the Miggy that we saw in 2016, 2017, or whatever it was, 2018, that nearly won Rookie of the Year and almost beat out Ohtani. We always say all the time he should have won, but regardless, it's been a lot removed. He's had a lot of ups and downs. It's what have you done for me lately? And Miguel Andujar kind of hasn't. He's requested 2 trades in that same time. He's been doing well, not a big sample size recently, and that's not enough to just be like to all scouts and GMs and say like, hey, that's a top prospect again. Scouts and GMs love prospects and shit that haven't played games and haven't had the opportunity to fuck up and show their flaws in any way. Miguel Andujar, although he has had success in the major league level, he's also had a lot of failure, and regardless, even if he had a little bit of failure, scouts and GMs just over exaggerate those flaws, and just when you're in a trade room, it's almost like you're in an arbitration hearing. It is exactly that. It's like, that guy sucks for this reason, that reason, this reason, and for that reason, I don't think we're going to get much or as much as people think for Andujar. And that being said, I think a guy like David Bednar, who doesn't have a lot of respect on his name, and you look at his Baseball Savant page, it's a lot of red. He's a great guy. From what I can tell, he's a great guy. He's funny. Had a good a post-game press conference where he apologized for saying shit or something like that. That was funny too. But regardless, he's closing games for a ball club that doesn't have a lot of save opportunities, and he's doing it. Give him some high leverage spots. He's got high leverage spots on the Pirates. Throw him in the 7th, 8th, or whatever. Just, you can never have too many bullpen arms. So I think an Andujar for Bednar or Andujar for Bednar and something else, I think the value makes sense for something like that, and I would be very happy with it, having an extra depth piece in the bullpen over just Andujar, who's just he has options. They're gonna keep him in the minors, and they're gonna let Hicks and Gallo just continue to try and shake off the rust and break out of these slumps.
I think that a trade for Andujar is going to look almost identical to the Luke Voigt one.
Exactly.
I think you're going to get a high upside,
younger
talent in the minor leagues. He's high upside, low downside. See what happens. He's a boomer bust prospect. He's some kid that throws 102, can't throw it within 10 feet of the strike zone. See what happens. That's basically his value now, and it's sad to say because I am a very noted Miguel Andujar lover, but if he were to get traded, I'm still not convinced that it's going to happen, and maybe that's my Miggy bias talking, but
it is.
And I don't even know that it's that, because I don't think that they don't trade him because they don't have faith in them and they want to get it and they want him out. I don't know that Brian Cashman is able to value him like you're talking. People need to recognize that his value's down. I don't know that the front office is willing to bite that bullet and realize that his value's down. They've shown an unwillingness to do so in the past, and they have for all of their prospects. So that's more a slight at them, not so much Miguel Andujar. But if he does get traded and they honor his request, which, you know what, I think they should. He deserves to get the opportunity. I know he's not going to go win 10 MVPs, but he deserves the opportunity to be an everyday player. if they trade him, I see it being something like that. They're not going to get David Bednar for Miguel Andujar. They're not going to get they're not going to get a major league contributor with Miguel Andujar.
For
They're
just
going-
Andujar, yeah.
But I
they're
know
going-
he could headline it, is what I'm saying.
He's not going to headline it though. He's going to be a throw-in if it's something like that. He's going to be
For David Bednar, they don't have to
no.
give that much.
All right, can we the David Bednar thing? Like, I don't
I know,
think
it's too
Andujar
specific
fits
right
that
now.
package. No, it could happen, sure. I don't think Andujar is part of that package. I don't think he makes sense for the Pirates at all. I do, however, and the reason that I thought the Contreras thing was interesting is because I think he does fit that a little bit. Because we have a pretty extensive trade history with the Cubs in recent years, and yeah, 2016 was a long time ago, but you know that started something. You know, that's where we got Glaber from. You know, we've had history with them. Clint Fraser, who is basically the most comparable person in the entire MLB to Miguel Andujar in terms of being
Mhm.
undervalued by the Yankees, is currently on the Cubs.
he was signed
And they have a
as
lot
a
of
free
guys that
agent.
are his exact same age. You know, what's his name? Nico Horner's a little bit younger. Like they're trying to build a semi-young base, and he's a guy who is that young age and MLB ready when he gets the chance. And I think they can find a spot for him, and I think that they would value him. Not enough for him for Contreras straight up, obviously, but I think that he would be enticing if they go for Contreras at the deadline. I
Especially
think that
since the
Cubs would
DH
value
is
him.
in the NL now.
That's
Exactly.
going to cost so much more than that, though. You're going to need him. You're going to need. I mean, obviously, this is way.
Yeah, we're not building
way-
out the entire thing. We're just saying he
I
could
know.
fit there.
Yeah. No.
You know,
that's fair.
Wells might be in that conversation. I don't know what their
Yeah.
catching situation
Enough building
is
out the entire
behind
thing. I
him,
agree with you,
but-
though. I think he's a good fit there. But I don't know, man. Did you guys see what Gary weighed in on this conversation? He
Yeah,
was-
he said that he should be starting in a major league team, and that's
I
the first time in
couldn't
my
agree
life I've
more.
ever. agreed with
Yeah,
Gary
but like
saying
just
that.
just because he requested a trade doesn't mean like they're just gonna go ahead and do it.
No,
Like
he's
like
done it
this.
before.
Yeah.
He's
No, I
requested
know,
it
but I'm
before.
saying like
Rounding third.
I know, but I'm trying to say is like and do as much as it sucks, and then as much as I want to see him play, as much as he deserves to play, like he is very valuable to this team. If someone goes down, if you know Hicks and Gallo just like, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think he's gonna start over them because I think that I don't know. It's the name value. It's just like who they are, it's who they were. It's like they're kind of like bringing out these slumps. Like I don't see a world where they just like cut one of those guys, like option one of those
They're not
guys.
going to.
They're not going to do that. They're going to keep playing them if they're healthy. So the only situation that happens is if one of them gets hurt, then he can bring up Andujar to play some games. And that could very well happen. I mean, Hicks hasn't played a healthy year his entire fucking life.
Yeah. Just because
And-
you're
Neither is-
upset
none of them
doesn't
have.
mean.
Yeah, just because you're upset doesn't mean you're going to get a fucking trade.
Yeah.
And he's so much more valuable to us in the organization than he is just trading away for a prospect this year. Like if we want to win this year, which that's the goal, we need to have him
Is it?
on this in this organization.
Absolutely.
If inevitably someone gets hurt.
No, I'm saying sorry, Rella. I wasn't referring to you. I'm saying Damon, absolutely right. Because, and this goes back to what Chandler was just saying about him, you know, being a part of the postseason roster too. Like the Yankees, if the package comes along, basically the Yankees are going to handle him in whatever makes sense for this year. So if that
Yeah.
means he's a package that's going to help them win now, i.e. Contreras or i.e. Bednar, then maybe he's going to go. But they're not this year going to just give him up for some wild
there's
thing
no
and hide.
point. There's absolutely no point, especially when he's like an MLB ready, very good player who's valuable to the team. There's no way.
I don't know. I think we're all a mixed bag here. I think we're all split on the
think we all
potential of
agree,
him being
though.
traded.
I think we all think that if he's traded, he's either going to be a small part of a big package or he's going to be traded for nothing and he's being traded because he asked to be. But we all agree that him being in the organization helps this team and it helps them
Yeah.
now.
Everybody
I
loves Miggy.
also
We're
wouldn't
all on the
compare
same
it.
page.
I also wouldn't compare it to Luke Voigt because Luke Voigt was just like clogged up and he was just like an odd man
That's
out and just like
Same with Miguel
Yeah, he's
Andujar.
also clogged up.
I know, but we couldn't send down Luke Voigt. Like Luke Voigt had to be traded, either that or a
Yeah.
bench spot. Like
That's
you
true.
can send down Andujar and you have those options and keep him in the organization. You can't do that with Luke Voigt. Like I think it's similar
It's-
front facing, but when you actually look into it, it's really not.
It's a Talkman Frazier situation.
Yeah, like I'd rather keep Andujar or trade him for someone who's gonna help us win this year rather than a prospect.
No, he's we are. Do you remember we coined the phrase or the term getting clinted? I made like a Wikipedia definition for it in a clip once, and it was like a noun. It's like when you continually get sent down, regardless of you being upset. And he's the new Clint. He's getting.
He's
clinted.
actually not. He's not like handling it like a dick or anything. He
No,
asked for
I
a trade
mean-
behind closed doors, and he's been nothing but professional the entire time. So
Yeah,
I agree.
Clint was an asshole for it, but
like
I
you
know,
even
no, but
heard
the-
Boone talk
but
about
the
it.
situation-
He's an absolute professional. He handled the news really well, and I obviously I'm not going to speak about what he said behind closed doors, but he was like, I hated to do it. It like physically pained me to send him down. He doesn't deserve to be sent down, but it's a numbers game, and he understood, and we talked, and he handled it like a pro. And I was like, you know what? I mean, obviously Boone's not going to come out and be like, yeah, he was a dick. He was throwing shit around my office. But I think
You
there's
can
I
tell
think
by what he
there's-
says,
There's
yeah.
truth to that, and I think he legitimately is. He's a good dude and a pro. Like he is a true professional that just needs a fucking chance somewhere. And I don't think it's going to be on the Yankees, and I don't think he's going to get traded this year. So I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's in a weird spot. He really is. It's a spot that. It's not really like Clint because Clint was kind of a dick, and
he also
whatever.
sucked when he came up.
He sucked when he came up. He was bad defensively, which is weird to say when you're comparing him to Miguel Andujar. But Andujar looks good out there. He's
Yeah, and
doing-
Andujar did something too. Like he was
doing
told
everything
told
right.
to go switch and play the outfield from third base, and he went and did it. Like, he did everything he was asked to do. He's hitting pretty well. He's playing good field. I mean, it's just kind
You
of.
guys ever seen the movie
sad.
Miracle? No, seriously, it relates. I promise.
No,
you ever
seriously.
no? You ever seen the movie Miracle?
Of course,
Yeah.
Murph.
The 1980. Yeah. So you know Ralph Cox, that movie, the guy with the mustache, Last
Yeah.
Cut.
Yeah.
It's the same deal. Like there's a scene where, sorry, this is my favorite movie, and I can quite literally quote it word for word. But there's a scene where Herb Brooks is talking to his wife, and it's like, how can I cut this guy? He's done everything I've ever asked him, whatever. And like, you desperately wish that the roster had one more spot on it because he's a value to the team. But what are you supposed to do? There's nothing you can do. Your hands are tied. You have to. And I feel like that's how Boone feels about Andujar because
turn our
he wants.
fucking corner outfielders into a bottle of Elmer's, and then boom,
Yeah,
there's fucking Andujar.
hands aren't tied. Hicks can totally go.
They're tied. But that's not Boone's decision what to do with Hicks. That's Cashman's decision, and it's
Yeah, I
not going
know.
to happen.
I know. All right, Damon, what's yours? You don't have one, do you?
I do.
It's gonna be the worst.
I think it's gonna be great, Damon.
It's okay. The more I think about it, the more I think it happened, but it would still be pretty crazy. I think that at the end of the season, we have two pitchers in the top 5 for the Cy Young.
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean that's like
Wait,
yeah.
at 5.
At the
Might
right
be
now
5.
it's right now it's no brainer. We still have a whole long season to go. Like that's bearing that. I think right now that happens, but if we just end the season right now, but all those guys need to do the same thing moving forward.
Murph,
But
the
they don't
fact
know.
that the fact that you said might be 5 means you're alluding to just the starting rotation, not including Clay Holmes to that. So it might be 6.
There can't be 6 people in the top 5.
I think
Well,
we'll find a way.
Only
that-
two of
the math
them
checks
though
out?
have to repeat what they did in the first third though. You have 5 guys that are all like legitimate. I mean, maybe not Montgomery, but you have 4 starters that are putting up
No, I
Cy
yeah.
Young-ish level numbers. Half of them have to pan out.
I mean,
And they don't even
currently
have to
one of them is really. I
I mean, we know Cole's going to be there.
Cole will be there
Cole
if he-
will be there. Cole is there every
Cole
year.
will be top 5.
I think Cole will win it, but I think he's always there.
I think McClanahan might.
McClanahan's up there.
McClanahan's really good.
McClanahan's disgusting.
It's going to be between those two, but I mean, the question mark is,
And Robbie Ray.
which is becoming less of a question mark, is can Nestor keep doing this? I think he can. He's potential. That's another question right there. Like, do you think Nestor right now? It looks like he's going to start the All-Star game. So, like, is he that guy who? It's
That'd be
wild.
so
It's
funny.
wild. It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. He is the favorite right now to start the All-Star game. It's either him or McClanahan, and I think it's Nestor. And I
I feel like they're gonna throw him out there. Like Yeah.
It's the
just
storyline. I
fits.
think more so.
I can picture it.
In a vacuum, all else equal, McClanahan, Cole, Nestor Cortez. Like, that's just not. He does not have the same pedigree, like highly touted, like Cole and McClanahan and
Don't
Luis
sleep on
Severino
Jameson
and
Tyone. Jameson Tyone would not shock me one bit if he's up there at the end of the year.
starting the. No,
No.
I'm talking about starting the All-Star game.
I'm talking about in
I'm with
this,
you,
I'm talking
Chandler.
about Cy Young
Yes,
voting.
but
This is the
also
guy
in that, yeah.
But this is the guy that we wanted. You remember we got him and we're like, okay, this is really cool. He was, I mean, what was he? The number 3 overall pick, something like that. He was a huge prospect, a monster prospect. Came up with the Pirates, was good, and then obviously, you know, the dude had cancer, 2 Tommy Johns. You don't expect him to come out in 2021 and be a fucking Cy Young winner. Now he's putting it all together. Again, he's working with Matt Blake, who is just, you know, the best thing to ever fucking happen to this team. And he looks, I buy, you want to talk about starters on this team that I buy 110% and then some of Jameson Tyone. I think this is the pitcher that he is supposed to be. This is a pitcher he's been trying to be. If it wasn't for all the just fucking horrible things that have happened to him, this is what he's been supposed to be for 7-8 years now, and he's coming into his own. This isn't a fluke by him. It would not shock me one bit if he was up there in the top 5. Not even a little bit.
That would shock me.
It would not. It wouldn't shock me. It would
I'm
not.
with you.
I would not see him and be like, "What the fuck is he doing up there?" I'd be like, you know what? It makes sense.
I'm with you.
It's
And-
the
and
stars
you could say-
finally aligning for him.
Who are you with?
You could say a very similar thing. I'm with Chandler here, and you could say a very similar thing about Sevy too. But I mean, I think you're absolutely right. And if I look at his, granted, third of the year through the season, which depending how you look at it, could be a big or small sample size.
He was
but
good last year too. When
right
he was
now,
healthy.
he is exceeding the admittedly optimistic expectations that I had when we brought him over to begin with. Like I really thought he would turn into this pitcher. Maybe not during last year, but I was like, okay, like this is going to be a guy, and
I
he is
thought
going to
he would
be
be
a bona fide
very high.
three.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought he would be a high upside 3 starter,
Yep.
which that's what he is
He
right
is.
now. He's hitting the high upside.
He has.
Yeah,
He has
and
point,
Sevy's a high upside 3 too, which is crazy because
He
he's
has-
the 4, and then yeah,
He has 0.8 walks per 9. That leads the all majors.
He
There you
looks
go.
very, very good.
That's what you call command, Rella.
So why isn't that control?
No, wait, you know what? I was listening to a broadcast, and I now I can't even remember if it was the Yankees or not, but I watched a lot of baseball recently. But they pointed out the difference between command and control in a very, very good explanation. They said if you watch the catcher, and if the catcher's glove moves or doesn't move, sorry, that's command.
Mm.
But if you hit the strike zone, it's control.
That's what I said. I told you my friend.
What if it does
friend
both?
Drew, my friend
can get
Drew
behind
in
that.
college
Command and
baseball
control.
heard our episode and texted me and was like, "Yeah, there's most definitely a difference, and you guys were spot on." So boom, shout out us for being awesome and smart.
Nice.
You can have control without command, but you can't have command without control.
Well said.
A square.
That's true.
A rectangle's a square, but a square isn't a rectangle.
Shut up, Damon.
There you go.
Do you guys think the Nestor can start the All-Star game?
No,
You
Yes.
think it's gonna be McClanahan? I think the storyline. Okay, of the two,
the All-Star game is to make money.
exactly.
So put Nestor
So
out
that
there
Nestor-
first.
Oh my
Nestor
god,
Cortez
dude,
is-
Nestor. was
What's
bringing the
going
You
to-
Bucks.
just use that
What's-
almost as an example as
No,
to
I
why it
didn't.
counts against Nestor, but it's
What's
literally
gonna
why he
draw-
has a chance.
What's going to draw more people who aren't
Nestor
baseball,
Cortez.
that aren't baseball fans? Baseball fans
Cortez.
will want to watch Shane McClanahan or non-baseball fans will want to watch the bigger name.
No,
No.
they play one hype video of like the story of like Nestor Cortez being a fucking whatever round pick and he got cut from the Orioles and then he made it back like that. They play one video in between but right before the All-Star game starts to get everybody pumped up. They'll find out who Nestor Cortez is for the first time and be like, they'll play the whole story. Nasty Nestor, you got the nickname, this, that, and the third. Not the nickname that he got by the Twins announcer. That's a different announcer, and that's a different nickname, which Nestor has since accepted his apology for.
Handled that like a pro.
Handled it like a pro's pro, and handled it like a guy who's probably going to start the All-Star game. And
hope he does.
to which I hope the Twins announcer is not the, or I hope he is the announcer for that.
Chandler, to your point though, the average baseball fan that's not really that big of a baseball fan that might tune in to watch the All-Star game has arguably they're gonna know who Nestor is before they know who McClanahan is.
I think they
Strictly
already know.
because
Very true.
McClanahan plays for the Rays.
You're right.
Nestor is an anomaly, and B
Fair.
plays for the Yankees.
Talk about
Fair.
a
I'm just-
marketable
And
player.
he's fun. He does the Johnny Cueto, or excuse me, the Nestor Cortez that Johnny Cueto stole ahead of time. But like, I think it's in terms of entertainment value, Nestor Cortez is putting asses in the seats and on the couches watching the game. 100% over Shane McClanahan. I think a lot of people don't even know who Shane McClanahan is today. Like
McClanahan's also
the average
striking out
baseball.
like 40% of batters.
Yes,
so.
he's
I know,
very
I
good.
agree, but the average, the non-baseball fan doesn't care about that.
You could argue that McClanahan's having a better year though. Also,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
completely
but
I think
agree
you'd
with
win that argument too. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not just saying it's a slam. You're acting like it's a slam dunk that Nestor's going to start the All-Star.
No, but I think he gets a huge edge when, like I said, in a vacuum. Stats aside, if all else equal, I think Nestor Cortez has an enormous bump on his side because of the storyline and the market.
Hope so. Where's the All-Star game this year?
LA.
That's what I thought. What a
feel like
shitty
it's
Wasn't
always
it
in
just in
California.
LA?
Well, they got two
thought it
LA
was-
teams.
Well, is
I
it
think it's the
LA or is it
Dodgers.
Anaheim?
I think
I
it's the
thought it was
Dodgers.
just the Dodgers
I think
like
it's
last
the
year.
Dodgers. No, last year was Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, you're
'Cause
right.
They moved it from Atlanta.
I mean, look. I mean, just think about the story that they'll play. That I'm just picturing that video that they're gonna play before. Like Nestor Cortez, this is a Jeff Passan tweet. He tweeted this out very beautifully. He says ERA down to a 1.5 after 7 shutout innings against the Angels. Just an incredible story. A 36th round draft pick by the Yankees, returned to them as a Rule 5 pick in Baltimore, and then traded to Seattle. Got released back to New York, and now he might start the All-Star game. Superb mustache too. It's just like they're going to make the hype video about that, and it's just gonna be so goddamn cool. Like I can totally see it. My question to you about just people who have impressed you right now is like, outside of Judge and Nestor Cortez, who we've talked about far too much on this show every single week in, week out, episode in, episode out, who has impressed you most aside from Judge and Nestor Cortez?
Honestly, JMO, I think.
Yeah, it's I mean,
J-Mo.
dude, he is.
Oh,
he's-
Clay Holmes. Did we?
I know. I mean, I expected Clay Holmes to do this. Like, not this, but like
Really?
my hot take at the beginning of the year was that he was gonna.
That's not really what I'm asking though. It's not really expectations. It's more of just totally impressed with.
I mean, a take is an expectation for the future. No. I'm right. Anyway,
don't need to get
You
philosophical.
J-Mo-
now you didn't even talk about take. What are
but
you talking about?
JMO is one of those guys who like really like we were all just kind of like, if he does okay, we'll be happy in the beginning of the year. And
Yeah.
we never really, he was always kind of just like brushing on the table in terms of like the starting rotation. It was like, all right, Cole is the ace. Nestor is like, what the fuck is he doing? But he's going to keep doing it. Sevy, we're all really excited about because he's going to like come back to his own. Montgomery is going to be this like very average person. We kind of just like, we're like, JMO, if he's okay, we're good. And we never really talked
Yeah,
about that much.
if he started 95% of his scheduled starts, like maybe missed 1 or 2 and had a 4 ERA, we're all right with that.
We
beginning of the year.
all have been happy with that.
But
I
now
was thinking
it's-
about this earlier in the show when we were talking about the World Series or whatever, but there's legitimately, I wish I could lump the entire starting rotation into this question that you asked, but like legitimately, if we headed to October and we're sitting there in ALCS Game 7 just for the hell of it, and say Cole was spent and Sevy was spent and all this, there's not a starter in our rotation where I wouldn't feel confident with them going out. I mean, the least confident I would be in Montgomery, and that's saying something. Like, that's not a slight at him. That's just how dominant they've been, and they've just been fucking nails against every lineup they've been up against this year. The only person that's really had a blow up start was Garrett Cole, and obviously you're still confident in him. So we'll see how it holds up over the season. But I mean, seriously, if you go into a playoff series right now and you end up in a Game 7, is there any starter you're not confident in?
No, and I can totally see, like, now that you mentioned talking about like playoffs and stuff, I could see like Jameson Tyone having one of those, like the Tyone game, like you said, somebody blows up and he comes in to piggyback off them because he's probably going to be in the back end of that 5, so he's like in a shorter series, a 5-game series, or even a 7-game series. You don't
It's going to
usually
be Cole, Nestor, Sevy, JMO, Montgomery.
exactly, but those JMO and Montgomery might not get a start. They might be the guys who are either spot starting when people fuck up, or just like a long reliever or something like that. Like, he doesn't have a guaranteed spot in the rotation, at least for now. But that's a conversation for another time. But I could totally see him coming in after like somebody gets knocked out early, and then like the Tyone just like has 6 innings strong of just like essentially what Chad Green did in like a few years ago in that
The
series.
Montgomery game against the Rays in 2020.
That too, but like Chad Green as well did that in against the Astros, where he just had like 3 innings straight of just shutout ball in like the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. You remember the game, but it's just, or Chandler might not because he blocked it out of his memory. But I could see him having a ridiculously big impact on a game and the playoffs in this entire playoff run. Like we're gonna go as far as JMO takes us in the playoffs, because JMO is, as I mention all the time, the X factor, and I think he's gonna be awesome. I love him, and you could see those sabermetrics that they mentioned when we wanted to get Jameson Tyone, like the fastball spin, like the chase rates. Those are all very high in this baseball savant. So
Shame on us for not mentioning their bucket hats the other day.
what bucket
Did you see
hats?
You didn't see that?
No.
You live under a rock? All the starters came out that weren't starting. I think it was like Nestor, Jamo, and Montgomery came out just like trotting in from the outfield wearing just the most ridiculous bucket hats. You see like 5'8" Nestor just like hanging out. He looks like their friend. And then the 2 like actual like units walking behind him. Just they were all wearing bucket hats, cutting up in the dugout, having a blast. They look fantastic. But
I like that little ritual they have where all the starters watch,
watch them. Yeah,
the last pitch in the bullpen. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
that is cool.
They're awesome. They seem like an actually like really tight knit group. This might be the
Absolutely.
first deadline in a long time. I don't want a starter. Like if they got a starter, I'd
Yeah.
be not upset, obviously, because they would obviously be getting somebody huge if it's to replace one of these 5. But I love the chemistry they have. I love what they have rolling. This is exactly what you need if you want to win.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
think about
they're so good.
like this time last year, and we were complaining about how nobody even looked like they wanted to be there. When they flashed to the dugout, everyone's straight face watching the game. I mean, obviously, it's easy to be this happy in the dugout when you're, on a 6-game win streak on top of best record in baseball, right? Still.
Mhm.
So there you go. But it just in general, like the show flashes in the dugout, everyone's having a good time. They get on base, they're doing stuff back towards the dugout. That kind of stuff coming out of the bullpen with bucket hats. The party shirts that Rizzo and Judge were wearing that showed up. Them going to the Rangers game. Like, there's just so many little things like that that just make it a lot more fun to watch.
Yeah.
I agree.
Do you guys want to get into the rounding thirds that we asked for from the listeners?
Sure.
All right. So we asked, you guys answered, and you guys gave us some great rounding thirds. So first rounding third that we got is, will Nestor start the All-Star game? We have all said, do we all think that's a yes? I know we didn't really put it to a vote across the board here, buy or sell.
I think it's a possibility.
Yep.
I think
I'll
it's,
buy it.
You
yeah.
just copped out like Murphy usually does. Yes or no?
No.
No? Murph?
No. I hope so.
Yes.
But
It depends.
Yes.
Yes, I say yes too. Next from Ryan Jack said Yankees get 8 All-Stars.
who?
No.
Name 'em.
shot.
Well, it's name 'em.
Judge,
might-
Clay Holmes, Garrett Cole,
Stanton?
Mr. Cortez.
Yeah,
Stanton, if
Yeah.
he plays the rest of the time and keeps it up.
yeah, his numbers are not very good.
Fucking Trevino might make it.
No.
No,
He's hitting
No.
280 with 5 home runs
No.
and playing the best catcher in
It's
baseball.
a no.
No.
Salvador
I'm just
Perez will
not
get
going
it
to
over him.
happen. Salvador
do you
Perez,
think-
Sean Murphy's up there.
Do you mean you need more than one? I'm just saying it would not shock me if he keeps up what
That
he's
would
doing.
shock me.
That would
That
shock
would,
me.
yeah.
Okay.
We might have 3
you guys are
starters
acting
make the
on it.
All-Star.
I'm just.
He
you guys are
also
acting like
splits
Trevino
time. Like
should
that
start.
would shock me.
Yeah, he splits time.
I'm
too,
just
that's annoying.
I'm not
saying,
saying it
if-
can't happen. I'm just saying it would shock me. That's it.
Whatever. The catching isn't like great across
I
baseball.
know.
So.
Just the splitting time hurts, but
All right. Well,
Continue.
either way. So what are we at? 4, not counting him. Clay Holmes, Cole, Nestor,
Judge Stanton.
Judge, Stanton, maybe. So 5. I mean, at this point, you got to put Tyone in there.
Yep.
He's. I mean, there's 6.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
There's where. I mean, Hicks. There's 7.
Gallo, that's 8.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're including Glaber, but
No.
he's good, not great. Donaldson's not going to make it.
IKF's not gonna make it.
I mean, I guess on that point you're piggybacking on like another reliever, Wandy.
If
No,
if
Just-
Rizzo
I'm
hits
making that up. Oh, Rizzo,
300 in the next month with like 10 more home runs, maybe. But
I
I
think
mean,
8's a lot. I think
eight's a
they'll
lot.
probably
They'll
get
have
5, 6.
5. Yeah.
Yeah. Benintendi is acquired. Hicks retires immediately by Sturk
I
98.
hope so. Not gonna happen.
No, we're not
On
gonna give up.
the Benintendi acquisition, I don't
When was
think
the last
so.
time the Yankees got the guy they were linked to the entire time?
They aren't even linked to him. It's just the fans want him because it makes his sense. Like we should get him. I mean, I don't know.
I don't
Just
want him. I
we
don't like
should have
him.
got a shortstop. What? Fuck off, Murphy. What do you mean you don't like him?
I don't like him.
He's still Red Sox to
In
you.
what way?
He's still a Red Sox. I hated it. I never liked him. I
I
really
liked him on
can't.
the Red Sox. He was one of the only.
I
Red Sox
liked him too.
I'm one to like Red Sox players. I like Devers. You know, I really didn't like him on the Red Sox, and I still don't like him.
Unfortunately, you're wrong. So next.
Judge and Stanton will hit 90 combined home runs.
Well, that's easy.
I'm gonna
If
take
Judge-
the
That's
over.
that's
if
very
Judge, if
like,
Judge
Judge
hits
hits
63,
62.
like I just said, is gonna happen. Stanton only needs to hit like 27.
well, wasn't it that when Stan came over, Judge was off his 52, or yeah, was it 52 or 51 year home run?
Stanton hit
and then
59.
Stanton came off with 59.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there was like an over under 110 for the year.
I think they hit
Next
combined
year.
90.
And
90's
no, I
not
think they
crazy.
could. No, it's really not. I mean, if
Question
they
comes
both
to us
hit,
from Aiden
45.
Bogursky.
I think Stanton needs to pick it up a little bit to make that happen.
Stan's doing
Stanton
fine.
just needs to be on the field.
I mean,
He's back now.
being healthy, but yeah.
Yeah, he's
If
back.
he's healthy, if he's healthy and Judge doesn't obviously keep this up, but keeps up anything remotely similar, it's definitely.
He's
do-
been
I
in
mean,
the
they're
cover
at,
off the
I
ball.
mean,
so
they're
I
at
don't know.
30 something already.
I mean, if he gets 55, all Stanton needs is 35 now.
How many does Stanton have right now?
I think 5 or 6.
No, I think he has like
No, I thought he
11.
had like close to 10. Yeah.
he has like 11, dude.
That'd be 100 Murph, by the way.
He has 11.
So wait,
Does he?
55 and 35?
He has 11 right now. They combined have
33.
32.
Oh. So
32.
Yeah, so
32.
No.
32.
That-
Judge
No,
has
that's
21.
20. Sorry, I've had a
That's-
long. I've
it's
had a
a-
long. I've had a long day.
yeah, that's 90. I was gonna say there's no.
This is.
That's all right. I don't blame you, Damon.
Next, Cars is the best Pixar movie from Murph. Honestly, I put that poll up. It's a 50-50 split right now.
It's fact.
It's not. Yankees trade
name
Gallo
one better
or
one.
Hicks. I mean, Up's
Just
pretty
time
good.
out. Are you kidding me? That's the one you come up with?
I just
Yeah,
that was
it's
the
a
most
bad-
recent one
it's a
that I
bad one.
watched. It's not a,
That-
that's not a
that's-
bad one. It's
It's
literally
not
got-
nearly
Eh,
as good
eh,
as Cars.
literally has
Not
100
nearly
on-
as good as Cars.
it's
I
got
will
100 on
hear
Rotten Tomatoes.
there are a couple of possibilities that I will listen to. The Incredibles, I will listen to.
Toy Story.
Monsters Inc. I will listen to, and Toy Story I will listen to, and I'd listen to Toy Story 2, I guess. That's it. I don't think any of them are better than Cars, and if you try to tell me a different one's better,
I mean,
You're
Toy Story
wrong.
and Incredibles
Toy
are
Story.
definitely are.
I think Toy Story beats
I think
The
Incredibles is second.
I just said Up was good. It was the first that came to mind because I
Well,
just
that
recently
was
watched it.
stupid and wrong.
It's got
Also,
a-
if
it's
you
got
give
100
me a
on Rotten
movie that
Tomatoes.
came out after like 2015, you're also wrong.
Okay. Trade Yankees trade Gallo or Hicks before the deadline. I think neither of
No.
them are going to get traded.
It's zero value.
Gallo's the more likely, but I still don't think.
I don't. They're
either
not.
will.
He has
Hicks,
no. He has
Hicks is
zero
not going
value.
anywhere.
No one.
Yeah, he does.
neither of them are going anywhere.
He doesn't have a lot, but somebody will take Gallo. Nobody will take Hicks.
All
Gallo
7
at least
games.
is-
All 7 World Series games will be in New York.
That'd be sick.
Wouldn't be that
I
surprising.
could see that.
Mets need to stop getting like fucking GTA injuries and have like a normal.
I mean, they're here where they are right now is I think the second best record in the NL, and they're a few behind
Dodgers-
us, honestly. And they haven't had and I mean, DeGrom hasn't pitched for them, and Max Scherzer's on the IL. So imagine.
And the division's
and the-
terrible.
They need to stop
and the
having
Dodgers
Mets
are
luck.
a buzzsaw.
I mean,
like-
Lindor just like broke his hand in a hotel room door, and fucking Scherzer got bit by his dog.
They're
So,
fine. They're fine.
They're fine. I'm just saying, if they don't have Mets luck for 162, it wouldn't be that crazy to think that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That'd be
they'll be
so
healthy. They'll
fun.
hopefully be healthy by playoff time.
Joey
know,
Gallo becomes the guy we traded for and helps us make a deep postseason run.
God, I hope so. I doubt it.
I'll
though.
actually buy that one.
You do?
Yeah, I really do think he's going to turn it around. I mean, obviously he's not going to hit 300 for the rest of the year, but I think that I
do
think that
too.
the worst of his season is behind him. I'll
I
put
do
it that
too.
way.
I mean, it's hard to be much worse
Can't be
than that.
worse than that. I mean,
No, I agree. I think he turns it
He
around
can
at
be.
least a little bit, and turns it around enough to just become back to
serviceable.
serviceable and a mainstay in the starting lineup, because he's going to be regardless. So at least just be. My hope is that you're good enough that I don't get mad that you're starting. Be good enough that I could be like, all right, Gallo's batting 8. Like that's what I want to see. Is that fair?
Yeah. Maybe a late home run that nobody expects.
Yeah. Nestor is voted 2 in the Cy Young and starts game 1 of the playoffs. So I think we talked about the Cy Young thing a bunch.
Yes and
Any
no.
chance that he is the one starter?
No.
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 The
Absolutely.
Not unless
only
Cole's
chance
hurt.
is that, if Garrett Cole gets like run over by a bus, then maybe.
You don't pay Garrett Cole $324 million to
No.
sit on the bench game 1.
And
It
it's
does-
not like he's
it does
pitching
not
bad
matter.
either. He's doing pretty good for himself as well.
We've seen
Um,
it before too. Just to round this out, Sevy started that wild card game in what against the A's, where he had like a 7 ERA from the All Star break on.
2019, I think.
Yeah, it was
2019. We were at that
2018.
game. That was the Judge home run. Early
Yeah,
on. Yeah.
Against Liam Hendricks, who was the opener. What an idiot!
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Rangers will go to the Stanley Cup and win in 7.
Disagree because they're gonna win in 5.
They're winning 4.
Yeah.
They're
they're
gonna
gonna-
lose
they're
in
gonna-
5 to Colorado. Colorado's gross.
But you think they're going to move on?
I do think they're gonna move on. Yeah.
LGR.
LGR.
I hope they do.
Tyone greater than Monty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I'll
look
agree.
hesitant.
I'm not hesitant. I was hesitant that you guys were all so not hesitant. You guys
I
were
think
all,
that's kind of.
you guys
I
were
had
like
my Jameson
absolutely
Tyone
no
spiel.
problem. All right.
I
I'll
think Tyone's
agree.
better.
I'll agree. Tyone's better, but I think it's a little closer than you guys were just immediately like, yep, 100%.
Sorry.
They're rapid reactions, aren't they?
Gallo should try batting righty.
Can't get much worse.
Judge has a career year and Cashman offers him 10 years.
Hope so.
I don't know about 10 years, but
10 years is a lot of years.
was he 30, 31 right now?
It's 30.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
31 by the time he signs a contract, probably. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that. I think it's gonna be like 8.
Gallo would be a better pitcher than an outfielder.
Honestly, he's got a cannon.
All right.
And last one, IKF will finish the year batting 297 with 1 home run.
Nope.
Does he have only 1 home
297
run?
is Very,
He has 0.
I don't think he
runs.
has any home runs. 297 is very specific.
He has like
but
7 career home runs across like 5 years.
Does IKF hit a home run this year?
No.
Yes.
Yes, he will. He'll get a cheeky one.
Water bet?
I think he gets. I think he's gonna get like 3.
No.
Over under 1.5 home runs this season for IKF.
Under.
Over.
I'll take over. I'll take over.
He has
1.5.
16 career home runs and over 1,500, almost 1,600 at bats.
How many years? he's
I'll
been
take the
playing?
under as well. I think he hits 1.
In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, he has 16 home
Oh,
runs.
it's
feel like
gonna,
he just-
it's gonna be such a big home run.
I'll take those odds. It's about 3 a year.
Dude, he's playing 81 games at Yankee Stadium theoretically. I don't know if it's actually split down the middle, but he's bound to accidentally square one up.
He may have one, but I'm taking the under on 1.5.
Yeah, I'll hammer that will hit more than 1.5.
I'm with you, Damon.
I don't think he gets 2. That's a lot of pop.
Something to watch for. All right, that will do it for us. As always, thank you for making it and hanging out with us on your fantastic Tuesday, or Monday night into Tuesday if you're watching it live on the YouTube. Go subscribe to the Bronx Pinstripes YouTube to watch these episodes live and hang out in the chat and chat with us. Go download the Underdog Fantasy app and use code 161boys to get a free $100. That is free $100 if you deposit $10 or more. Just fantastic promo going on there over Underdog Fantasy. There's gonna be a lot of events going on in that app, so make sure you download it and get set up there before we start announcing the events in there. Yeah, give us a 5-star review on iTunes if you have a spare 2 seconds, and we really appreciate you. And go Yanks! Judge is gonna hit 67 home runs.
LGY, LGR.
LGY.